Erick Erickson joins me once again here in South Georgia. Erick Erickson is the afternoon talk show host for WSB in Atlanta. He's also a Fox News contributor, and he's the editor of Red State. Thank you so much for stopping by once again here, Erick.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get into the whole Wendy Davis story, I know it was quite an eventful week here for you in Atlanta. What was the experience like dealing with the snowpocalypse, as they call it in Atlanta?
Oh, it was crazy, and how rapidly people shifted to the blame game while people were still stuck on the highway. I did radio from 4 p.m. Tuesday to 4 a.m. Wednesday, and was still taking calls at 4 a.m. Wednesday from people who were trapped in their cars and had been since noon on Tuesday.
Yeah, it is crazy. You get a couple of snowflakes in Atlanta, and it just everything goes upside down for sure.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about this whole abortion Barbie controversy. How did the whole term abortion Barbie come into being dealing with Wendy Davis, who is running for the governor's seat in Texas?
Well, if you remember back in July, she filibustered pro-life legislation in Texas, and the media, from ABC News to Vanity Fair to what have you, kept referring to her pink outfits and her pink shoes and her Barbie-like looks and her blonde hair. And so I decided it would be a great term to use to really characterize her as she was the left's abortion Barbie. They wanted to focus on her looks. They didn't want to focus on the issue. And in fact, when she did interviews, she didn't want to talk about the issue either.
There's a lot of people that get surprised when they see conservatives go on the offensive, especially when we're dealing with social issues. One of those people that were surprised by this was Greta Van Susteren. She had a hit piece on you. She didn't say very nice things about you in regard to you calling Wendy Davis abortion Barbie. Were you surprised by her hit piece?
Not really. I mean, Wendy Davis has her defenders, and they're allowed to defend, and that's what Greta was doing, her right to do it.
Should conservatives go on the offensive more often when it comes to the topic of abortion? You get the sense sometimes that they're too scared to go after it, and because they don't go after Democrats on this issue, Democrats will turn around and define them on this issue. What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely think so. In fact, you hear a lot, particularly from the more libertarian side of the center-right coalition, that if we make it about these issues, we lose. Well, yes, that's true. Any candidate who runs on that as their issue tends to lose. That's one reason I was very happy to call her abortion Barbie, get her defined by this issue, and she loses. The problem, though, is that you have a lot of people who say, well, you can't win anymore if you're pro-life. You can't talk about this issue. That's actually not true. There is not a race in this country where someone was pro-life and lost because that was the issue, with the exception of Aiken and Murdoch, who just blew themselves up by being dumb about the way they handled the comment. The left would have you look at Ken Cuccinelli in Virginia, but in fact, all the polling shows the moment he started raising the pro-life issue, his poll numbers shifted.
As far as that race in Virginia is concerned, too, Bob McDonnell was much more conservative on social issues than Ken Cuccinelli was. A lot of people have said that.
Yeah, he was very, very conservative, although he didn't wear it on his shirt sleeve like Cuccinelli, but, Cuccinelli was behind in the race significantly so towards the end, and then started making the pro-life calls that Terry McAuliffe would have turned Virginia into an abortion-on-demand state, and suddenly the polling starts swinging towards Ken, and there's actual polling from both the Democrats and the Republicans showing that issue began to hurt McAuliffe, not Cuccinelli. So there's a lot of spin by people who don't want this issue as an issue, but in fact it's an issue that resonates well if handled properly. It just cannot be a singular issue for either side. The moment the left makes it a singular issue for the right tends to do bad, but the moment the right makes it a singular issue for the left tends to do bad. It's Wendy Davis.
One of the things that Democrats do not like talking about whatsoever, and we've seen this lately with Wendy Davis. I believe a reporter or someone asked her about Kermit Gosnell, and she said, "I don't know anything about Kermit Gosnell." They seem like they don't want him to be brought up in the discussion, and it seems like there's a lot of Republicans and conservatives out there that don't bring it up either. And it seems like that is a legitimate topic, Kermit Gosnell, and how his clinic caused a lot of travesty.
It's very much so. It is very, very funny that Wendy Davis doesn't want to talk about Gosnell because the legislation she filibustered in Texas was drafted as a response to what happened with Gosnell. And during the course of the legislative fight over it, they discovered that Texas, they had an abortionist much like Kermit Gosnell, who actually was worse than him, led to the deaths of many more women than Gosnell. Just horrific actions there. That's why the legislation was proposed in Texas that Davis filibustered, and she tried to play clueless the entire time.
What are some of the most shrill hysterics you've seen from Wendy Davis supporters on Twitter or in media articles? I was wondering if there's one that tops the list.
Oh, well, yeah. You know, I think Greta, to some degree, is up there saying I'm a creepy jerk who shouldn't be listened to for calling someone names. There's an irony there. But really, just across the board, I still think one of the ones that takes the cake is the ABC News interview with Wendy Davis after her filibuster, where they spent a good 10, 15 minutes with her, and they never even asked her about what she was filibustering. They asked her about her shoes. They asked her about her outfits. They asked her about her style. They did not ask her about what she was filibustering. They do not want to talk about that. And you know, for all the shrill hysterics out there, the fact that you've got legitimate news organizations who refuse to do that really takes the cake in my mind.
One of the things that I think has been pointed out through this whole abortion Barbie thing is that going after character flaws is completely legitimate. Wendy Davis's entire biography is completely fabricated, and I think you're doing a good job of going after those things, and I wish more Republicans would do the same thing with their Democratic opponents and go on the offense.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing how quickly they turn to sexism, to say we were sexist and we're holding her to a double standard that men would be held to. That's complete nonsense. Wendy Davis lied about her biography. She left her kids in the custody of their father. She decided, the kids decided they wanted their father to be their primary guardian or custodian, which is really unheard of, actually. The year that happened in Texas, the rate was only 5% of fathers getting primary custody of kids. And now she says she didn't abandon her kids. No, she didn't abandon her kids, but the kids wanted Dad to have custody of them. Dad got custody of them. And she's screaming sexism. She lied about her biography. She built herself up in her campaign based on a biography that wasn't true. It's not sexist to point out that she lied about her biography. We'd be doing it about any man, too.
Wendy Davis right now is trying to blame Greg Abbott for all the negative press. Is that narrative sticking at all?
No, it's not. In fact, in Texas, she's bungled it badly. In Texas, she's put Texas journalists against Texas journalists, and they've all kind of turned on her now. You know, the national media may cover the story as poor little Wendy Davis and her pink sneakers with sexist Erick Erickson coming after her. But in Texas, they're realizing that she's out of her league. She's possibly corrupt. I mean, there are all sorts of ethics charges now that are being directed towards her based on government contracts steered to her law firm and whatnot. She's not what the national media pretended her to